The wait is finally over. Shadow of the Erdtree is here, and after logging off 15 times because holy shit, how is that fair? I've gotten through it, and it is so expansive that it is almost an entirely different game, with enemies that make you feel like the teammates you have in a Counter-Strike match. Needless to say, I have loved all of the Souls games I've played through 1 through 3, and beaten Elden Ring and the DLC at this point, and Bloodborne. The only one I haven't played is Sekiro, which I plan on getting to because the grappling hook is the coolest fucking thing ever. So when Miyazaki blesses us with a fresh pie, I'm gonna eat all of it. Alright, he puts a lot of love into his bakery. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Shadow of the Erdtree. Shadow of the Erdtree continues the story from the base game, mainly banking off Miquella's stories and Mo. You see, to actually get into the DLC, you have to beat Mo, which he really isn't that bad, but whenever you beat him and you do get into the new DLC world or the Shadow Realm, it is huge and expansive and kind of intimidating at first, and there's a lot of lore and new factions. For example, the guys in the base games with the horns, the omens, such as the boss Godric the Grafted, are seen as curse-born and have to live almost in solitude, being put away. And you learn about this through a lot of the quest lines, such as the Dung Eater. Holy shit. That guy's fucking crazy. But when you get to the Shadow Realm, you see a new faction that actually still thinks that the horns are kind of a blessing, called the Horn Scent. More than all these new factions, though, and enemies, we learn more about Miquella and what he was doing this entire goddamn time whenever we didn't see him. He wasn't really talked about in the main game at all, besides being dead as fuck and behind this old grumpy guy.
Listen, you son of a bitch. What the fuck's your problem?
So seeing this whole new area was really cool. For example, whenever you get into the Shadow Realm for the first time and you see this massive field with these huge graves in it, and you're wondering who did this, and then later on you get into the DLC and you figure out that it was Mesmer the Impaler, and how he went on a genocidal run is crazy. This world is filled with a bunch of lore that you need to go explore for yourself and find. But let's get to the real meat of the DLC, the bosses that everyone's been talking about. I've seen that Asmongold quit this DLC because he said it was too hard to be fun. You know, I guess it's not for everyone. But holy shit, did I get my ass handed to me on a platter several times. I mean, for hours, but it was totally worth it. All of the bosses are so unique with vibrant designs that you can almost tell what their story is just by looking at them. The way that FromSoft manages to design a character so distinctly is incredible. Take 2 seconds to look at the first boss of the DLC, the Divine Beast Dancing Lion. A lot of people will run into this one as your first one, and tell me what you see here. You see 2 guys in a cloth resembling that of a Chinese dragon outfit, acting like a beast that once was, bringing remembrance to it. It's just so unique. It's just really fucking cool. For the first big boss you really face, he's not that bad. And yeah, he's difficult, but it's the DLC that's come out 2 years after the game's release almost. Your character's supposed to be high level by the time you get to this point, and if you collect all of the Scadu Tree fragments, he's really okay. I love the way that his eyes glow, and the animation for his grab attack is awesome. Whenever you see the hand physically articulating the jaw, getting ready to strike, is a really good touch. But if he does grab you with that grab attack, he's gonna chomp you like I do at a goddamn Caniac combo. Give me extra toast and extra sauce and no slaw, please. The second phase of the boss is where it gets a little tricky, and by a little, I mean it's bullshit. You see, in the second phase, he gets this crazy ability where he can smite you down like a god. Also, he has this really cool ability where he makes your camera freak the fuck out, and it is so hard sometimes to look at him. That's my only big complaint with this boss fight is, holy shit, the camera is so bad sometimes. So combine this with his second phase where he gains elemental powers, frost, wind, and lightning. It's terrible because the lightning phase has RNG lightning after he hits you or does any attack that will spawn anywhere, and you will get hit by them. It spawns in a close proximity around him, but not in a set pattern, and they will stun you. And they will stun you just long enough for him to fuck you up. But besides that big drawback, I love this boss fight. It was awesome. The music was great. It was all around a pretty good time. Now for the second boss. Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, or I know her as my worst fucking nightmare. Dude, this boss broke me. In FromSoft games, everyone struggles on a different boss, and not everyone gets through past a certain boss as quickly as another one. But this second boss, Rellana, killed me for hours. I could not get past her. The combos are never ending. She will spin and twirl and dash you back to the fog gate every chance she gets. And the first phase is not that bad. You can memorize her attacks, you kind of know when to dodge, you know when to dash in and get a hit on her. But the second phase is where it gets a little rough. Especially with that moon attack. You know, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, you know, Rellana did this and it wasn't too bad. She proceeds to slam dunk your ass like she's trying up for the Lakers. Now, I'm playing street basketball. I'm on the court and my knees hurt. The real boss fight begins in the second phase. Lore-wise, she's an awesome boss. Her music is great. She's known as the Sword of Mesmer, who I will get to in here just a little bit. Also, small little thing I added. She is the sister of Rellana. That's why they, you know, she's the twin sister of Rellana. That's why they've had very similar names. But whenever she's doing her moon attack, if you look closely, there's two moons, obviously, but they're kind of nestled up right next to each other. And it's stated in her spell after you get it that it kind of symbolizes her and her twin sister's love for each other. Which is cool. I just wanted to tell you that. Thank you. Please subscribe. But now we move on to Mesmer. I only really wanted to talk about the first 3 bosses of this DLC. However, I will show the footage of me fighting the rest of them just so you know that I did in fact complete the DLC. I'm also not going to show the ending because what the fuck. But Mesmer was one that I wanted to talk about in particular because lore-wise he is really cool. And I want to see him deconstructed more by all of you guys too. If you have any knowledge about Mesmer or his lore or theories even, put them down in the comments because I know a good amount, but I just love learning about his character. He is a villain in the lore, but you kind of learn to pity him as you learn more about him. His relationship with Rellana, no one knows who his father is. My personal theory is that it's Radagon because red hair, but I want to see him deconstructed more. However, the boss fight is really cool. I mean, it is hard, relentless, and fast. He definitely has some parent issues, though. Eesh, man, I'm sorry. I mean, you're still cool with me, besides the whole genocide thing. Maybe not. Maybe you're not cool with me. But he gives you very little time to breathe. He also beat my ass a lot, but not as bad as Rellana. His area, the Shadow Keep, which is kind of in the central part of the map, is particularly filled with lore. And also these little assholes who scamper around like Smiling Friends characters and throw bottles of this green gas that I do not want to know what that is. You also meet Freya, the Sword of Radon. Also my goat. The areas around Shadowkeep also have very story-rich quests, such as the Ymir questline, the Leda, Dryleaf Dane, Hornsen himself. By the way, Dryleaf Dane is the most stoic-ass man I have ever met. Look at this guy, I don't think he shed a single tear in his life. While there are a lot of really cool new bosses, I also wanted to talk about some really cool new weapons because they're cool. Yeah. Don't know where I'm going from here. My favorite one personally is this hammer that you can throw like Thor's hammer, the Mjolnir, and it does a lot of damage on impact and comes straight back to you. My second favorite was one that you get from the Ymir questline called the Claws of Night, which are overpowered as hell. They do blood bleed up and they have just huge throwing damage. It's crazy. There's also a new sword called Milady. Just want to throw that in there. All these new weapons means new builds that you can go do, new playstyles, and I'm all here for that. But with all of these weapons, the bosses are still going to kick your ass. Which brings me to the Skadu Tree fragments I brought up earlier. Whenever you gather Skadu Tree fragments, you can go to a site of grace and bless yourself. Now, whenever you bless yourself, you will do more damage and be able to have better defensive abilities, making you take less damage. Big fucking shocker. Now, whenever you get all of the Skadu Tree fragments, you will do 2.05 times the amount of damage that you did before you had any, which is crazy. Go get these. These are a huge help. With this, there's also a weird ash spirits around the map that you can gather that will boost your summoning abilities, allowing your summons to have more health and do more damage. And they also buff your steed. Also, all of the new areas are so different from one another and expansive and show a great amount of character in themselves. The Cyrulean area is fucking sweet. All of the finger ruins for Ymir's questline are so cool looking with these freaky ass enemies. Belurat is awesome. Shadowkeep is fucking so cool. With massive statues in the middle that you have to scale on to get your way up, leading to an outside walkway that you can see the entire map almost in. And in the distance you can see that scattering tree falling to pieces is so cool. The story expanded upon Mikola is so in-depth and interesting, with multiple plots that we weren't aware of even in the base game that we do now know, such as things that Melania said to Radon, or just it's go goddamn play the game, brother. But after this point, I really don't want to spoil it for you guys. I just wanted to get on here and praise it, blazing, if you will. Fuck you. And I want you to go find out the story for yourself. Go play it, it's sweet. This amount of new armor with in-depth characters and weapons and bosses was fantastic. And getting my ass beat and finally overcoming all of it made it that much better. Which is where a lot of the discourse is in this DLC, but I'm all for it. I think it makes it that much more rewarding. Getting my ass beat and getting sent back to that damned fog wall did suck at the time, I'm gonna admit. It sometimes is a little frustrating, but now I feel accomplished because I did it. But that's also the beauty of this game. You see, the Souls games are kind of like skateboarding. Stay with me now. Whenever you start skateboarding, similarly to playing Elden Ring, you will fall on your ass time and time and time and time again. But what ultimately matters is that one time that you land that trick and that one time that you kill that boss, that makes up for all of it. That's why I love the Souls games, is the amount of effort that it asks from you and how much it challenges you, the player, to get better. Because really the biggest enemy in these games is your skill level and yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe. My name is Cambrodia, and I will see you guys in the next video.